The flower of Scotland, when will we see your like again? That fought and died for your wee bit hill and glen, and stood against him. Proud Edward's army, and sent them homeward to think again. That's right, folks, back once again with another match review. Looking back, of course, to the Battle of Britain, boys and girls, and England failed to deliver at Wembley, as of course, Scotland, of course, took themselves a cheeky point. They came, they saw, they took a little bit back, and of course, keep them in the mix for a spot in the last 16. And we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you do, smash your subscribe and get you back up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Cup of America related, World Football related, and of course, Euro 2020 related. We're going to all here under one roof. And of course, Scotland happy as a pig in rock right here, right now, as the taunts, the teases, the begs and the pleases. Heading into this game, everyone thought it was going to be a rollover, absolutely rollover, but England failed to deliver. They've got millions and millions of pounds worth of talent on that pitch, and we'll have a look at, we'll give you an actual figure of talent in a minute. But of course, they were toothless England. Scotland were the better side, and of course, they should really be walking away with the 3 points. But anyway, we'll talk about them in a minute. Big shout out to the VIPs and of course the patrons. So thank you very much for your support of the channel, and of course, hopefully, we'll kick it on forward with another one. Let's get into it then, shall we? Let's jump in the deep end and have a little look. And of course, the 0-0 draw. Yeah, of course, it's not the greatest spectacle for any football game to go away with a 0-0 draw, but Scotland will be licking their lips at this. Everyone had written us off, thought we'd already lost before we even kicked the ball. But no, Scotland is still in the mix. They take it back to Scotland. They've got to beat Croatia. I don't think 2 points is going to do it, so they cannot draw. They have to beat Croatia, but of course, we'll talk about that another day. As you can see, the possession-wise, England did dominate. 60% possession, 40% going in favour of Scotland. But we had more shots than they did. 11 to their 9. We'll take a look at a little bit of that in a second. The old shot grid. 2 of them was on target for Scotland. Just the 1 for England. 3 of them were off. 6 of them were off target for England. And 1 did hit the woodwork. They did hit the woodwork stones with a banging header, which probably should have been scored, but ultimately no bueno. 710 touches for England, 504 for England, 559 passes as well, 367 going in favour of Scotland as well. A quick look at the pass success rate. I think it was pretty savvy. Of course, 89% success rate for Scotland, 81% success rate for Scotland as well. 11 dribbles. The aerial battles were won by England, just 19 to 18, but that doesn't. Who cares? Who cares about all those numbers? It is the scoreline. It's 0-0. Yes, I know we're blowing our own trumpet like we've won the World Cup, but no. It's massive. It's massive. It's a relief to think that when you look at the amount of value that these two teams are, England, when they're thrown together, they failed. I don't know if they're just abiding by the rules that have been set by them by their manager, because on the pitch they look absolutely like dog shit. When you look at the values of the Scotsmen, they're coming together, they work like a team, and they're playing for the bloody badge, playing for the fans, playing for the situation, and of course not to let themselves down. England, on the flip side, prima donnas, they love it, and of course they fail to deliver. They get caught up in the hype. And I know Scotland will probably end up out of the group stages. I've got a gut feeling that they're going to, but this was fine. This is what I wanted. I wanted the Scotland to come out of this and not lose this game. That was it. I'm happy if they just pick up the 1 point. They got a point. They can even leave without even scoring a goal. I don't care. As long as they can hold face against England, who are a cocky sons of bitches sometimes. Even when you look at some of the tweets out there, people laughing at the Scotland squad when it was announced. A bag of shit. Go on then, get the result then, but you failed. You absolutely failed, and I think you could still, it might work out in England's favour, not winning this game. They might ultimately finish second, of course, avoid that group of death, and maybe land a favourable draw, which of course will get them much more further on in this one. But to be fair, Scotland, I think if we could have it 1.5 points in favour of Scotland and just a 1 point for England, I think that would have been a little bit more fair. But hey, it's okay. Scotland did what they came to do and not lose this game. Let's take a look at the shot grid then, shall we? The Scots are represented by the dark circle here. Of course, the light blue is England. And again, like Scotland did have more shots than the hosts, of course, on this one. England probably did have the best chance. One of the decent efforts from Scotland was forced to save from Pickford. And again, again, that could have been a goal-worthy effort, but ultimately 0-0. I think it's a fair result. Yeah, I would love to have taken the win. I really would have. If I'm dancing and singing around for a 0-0 draw, just consider the things I would be doing if it was an actual Scotland win. Well, and I'm hoping. I just hope if Scotland can not just, if they can get over the line and get the win against Croatia to get through to the knockouts, it'd be absolutely bits for Scotland. It'd be tremendous. And who knows, they could do a Wales and maybe even make it real far. Because when you get to the knockouts, anyone knows. Of course, this is the touch map here for England. As you can see, a lot of effort coming down that left-hand side. They've played an actual left-back with an actual left foot this time around. And as for the right-hand side, not as much, but still a lot of blades of grass covered by England. As for Scotland, more sporadic, not as covered as England. But hey, they were defending like warriors. And I don't even know what this pocket's going on over here. Again, with Robertson on the left, you would think more coming down the left, but it looks like the right was the more fruitful angle for Scotland. As you can see, the touch map here for England. Again, it just reassures what I've been saying down that left-hand side here. Not as often as the right, and a little less in this pocket here, where you'd have your Mason Mounts, your Fodens. They're not really getting into this space. As for Scotland on the flip side, again, it's very much heavily on the right-hand side. But when they come out on the attack, that's where your Robertsons and your Tierneys were overlapping and trying to get some balls in the box. But ultimately, yeah, that's the best I can give you on that one. As for the teams, Pickford between six, Mings, Stones, Shaw, and James made up your defensive core. Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips with Mason Mount, Sterling, Foden, and Harry Kane up top. Nearly £700 million worth of talent right there. An average age of 25.1. As for Scotland, 228. That's two-thirds, I think, less. And we've got a bargain bucket goalkeeper in there. We've got a bargain bucket midfielder in there. We've got a bargain bucket Lyndon Dykes in there. Of course, there's some other. And if you take Robertson out and John McGinn out, that's £100 million worth of talent. And of course, Scott McTominay in there, which I think they're a little bit inflated. Anyway, Marshall between sticks, Grant Hanley at the back, ex-Rover, of course, respect. Kieran Tierney, Scott McTominay, Callum McGregor, Billy McGill, of course. I think he got the man of the match. Stephen O'Donnell, Andrew Robertson, John McGinn, Lyndon Dykes, and Che Adams, who was a thorn in the side. As for the substitutes, we did see Grealish and Rashford come on. Just the two changes. If you're going to win this game, why don't you throw on a bloody Sancho? Why don't you throw on a bloody Calvert-Lewin or something like that? It lacks passion from the bench, from the dugout, in my eyes. As for the Scots, they made just the two changes as well. Stuart Armstrong, who, of course, a fresh pair of legs, and Kevin Nisbet, who's doing himself no harm so far over in the Euros as well. Look at the old formations, and of course, the match ratings. They did give it to Billy. Billy almost 6.2, but he got a man of the match in the actual thing, according to these badges. Reece James with a 7.8. Don't know what game they watched. 6.5 for Harry Kane. He was absolutely dog shit today. I don't even know he was on there. 7.5 for Grant Hanley, man at a stalwart at the back. Andrew Robertson, of course, down here with a 7. Yeah, 7.4 for Pickford. I don't know. I think these are a little bit twisted, these match ratings. Of course, as you can see, the time lap down here when the subs came on, of course, a couple of yellow cards for Scotland, but I'm sure they don't really care about that. Take a look at what's been on social media then, shall we? Rocky Gill said, massive credit to Scotland for a solid performance and looked at the better team in the second half. Proved a lot of England fans wrong who expected an easy win. Serious questions to be asked about England, lack of creativity, and are we really good enough to beat Italy, France, Belgium, and the rest? AI, or whatever, are we shite? Pedestrian at best. Scotland fought hard as expected, but we were woeful. Southgate is so timid, but a back four and two holding midfield players really for Scotland, for crying out loud. Or Jacob said this, Scotland acting like they win the World Cup after doing a draw. Well, I think they came out of this in much rosier than you guys did. Top 10 lands: Iceland, Scotland, Greenland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Finland, New Zealand, Thailand, Disneyland, Haaland, Pegland. No, not even in the top 100 in his book. Your sideline sports, that front four with Rice Phillips is so stale. There's no creativity or movement. Needs to make some changes or they'll always struggle to score. Happy days. By Walter Wapper. Scotland could have won it if they had a bit more belief. They kept passing the ball backwards when in good attacking positions. England were simply awful, especially Kane and Foden. Ivo Massel said, yeah, England not good enough in the final third. Well played, Scotland fought hard. Mason, NTV, said Southgate is awful. He's playing Mourinho-style football, but he has the players to play Guardiola-style. Scampy Fry Ninja, cool name. Crap, if you can't beat Scotland, one of the worst teams in the competition, you don't deserve to qualify for the last 16. Mane said, it's just 1 point, but I have to feel happy for Scotland if you're and neutral with how they grinded out at that point. Will be a fun night in Scotland, I'm sure. SMB said, absolutely pitiful, too scared to make a mistake and go for it. Looks like they played for the draw. Terrible. I'm sure that's England he's talking about. Taking a look at the situation out in the group then, shall we? Czech Republic are leading the charge on goal difference, and of course, if it was to end right here, right now, the Czechs would go through, England will join them, and Croatia will be there. But of course, we have the small matter of the third game. The Czechs take on England, and of course, Croatia go to Scotland to take on Scotland, and of course, in a winner takes all bust on that one. A winner takes all bust on this one. England might be content with that second spot, and I think if the Czechs were to draw with England, it would land like this. It would land nicely, and England will go through. But if the Czechs win, England will also land a second. So they could just take it easy and take the second spot and maybe have a nice easy passage to the second. As for the Scots, it's all or nothing coming at you on the 22nd of June. There you have it, boys and girls. There you have it. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits about this one. Of course, Scotland fought hard, got the point, and hopefully that's going to be the momentum for them heading into the final game. And hopefully they can extend their Euros by another game at the very least into the knockout stage. It's going to take another Braveheart style performance up against Croatians. But as for England, they've got it all to do if they're going to convince their faithful that they've still got the mix. Southgate does look a little bit out of his depth, and he does seem to play it a little bit too close to his chest. He needs to relax, chill a little bit, maybe have a little special brownie or something. Just relax, brother, and of course let it all pan out. But of course that ain't going to happen. We'll have to look at an intermatch number 3, and we'll see what's in the tank for England up against the leaders Czechs, of course, next time. But be sure to give the video some love, smash your thumbs up, smash your subscribe, check the links down below. I'm on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and of course Patreon. Of course, get the numbers up to 25k. We're doing the impossible, boys. We're doing the impossible with you along for the ride. Until then, I'll see you soon for the next one, whenever they may be.